Hello class, welcome to a Room 222 Photoshop tutorial. Today's project is the cereal box project. So the cereal box that we'll be working on is your own choice. I will pull up an example here for you under Useful Tools, Photoshop Tools and Resources, Examples, Cereal Box. So I made my own cereal box, which is what you're going to be doing. It's called the Cyprose. It's from the Macy Mills Company. It's happiness in a bowl, 100% whole grain, guaranteed. And we have a little blueberry here with some cereal, and then the box tops. So you're going to be making something similar, but of your own brand. Let's minimize this, exit out of that, and pull up Photoshop. You're going to start with File, New, and then we are going to do a custom width. So it's going to be, inches are going to be changed to millimeters. And we're going to change it to 200 in width and 287 in height. Resolution is 300, RGB color, 8-bit white. Say OK. Now we have our cereal box template. Next we're going to go to the Edit tab. We're going to do Fill, and you're going to pick a color that you want for your background. Select Color under Use. I'm going to go with this pale yellow. You could pick whatever color you want because this is a choice project for you. You do not have to do the mandatory one first. I'm going to say OK. Blend is normal, 100% opacity. And it is going to create my background that is a pale yellow. Next we're going to make a new layer. And this is our text tool. So now you need to come up with a name. Mine's going to be the Cyprose. And I'm going to change the font to what I want it to be. Over here on the side, there are like character options. This is where you can also change the way that your font looks with the text tool. Alright, so that's my title of my cereal. I'm going to then make this title pop. So I'm going to right click over here on the layer 1, or the text layer, and I'm going to select blending options. I'm going to click on the bevel and emboss, and I have to select it to be able to see the options it can do. And I'm just going to play around with this and see how I want my picture to pop, my lettering to pop. You can do relatively whatever you want. I do want it to have some sort of embossed look to it. Drop shadow is another thing, which is handy to use. You don't have to do a lot of it, but a little can go a long way. You can also do an inner glow. Give it a little bit of lightness. And then there's other options such as like stroke, inner shadow, color overlay, gradient overlay, outer glow. You can check all of those things out. I am not going to do anything with it, but they are options and I would highly suggest looking at them, playing around with them, and seeing what they can do. Click OK. So then next I'm going to apply an image. So under the stock images. Under food, I have several different options for cereal bowls. Some of them might not be big enough, but you can play around with them. I'm going to go with cereal blueberries for mine. And I need to make this a PNG styled photo, so I need to erase the background. To do that, I'm going to do the quick selection tool. And a handy feature with this, it doesn't always work, but if you start with the negative and you hold down the shift key, it'll sometimes move to the positive. It doesn't always do it, and I'm not sure why, but that's an option at times. As you will see, or as you work through this, your cereal box must contain a name, a cereal brand, some sort of catchy phrase or image, or catchy phrase or slogan, and then some sort of like character or image. So you don't necessarily have to have a cartoon character, but it makes it look nice. But you do definitely need to have an image of some sort, whether that's a cereal bowl, fruit, a cartoon image, anything along those lines. And all of this information you can find on your handout that's on your Google Classroom. Alright, I have the outline done. So now I'm going to use the eraser tool, background eraser tool, and I'm going to erase the background. Control D to deselect, and I'm going to move this forward, this layer forward. I'm going to click on the move tool, and I'm going to click and move and drag and drop this onto my cereal box. And then I'm just going to place this back up here in case I would need it again. Control T to move it around. I want to make it bigger, so I'll hold down the shift key and then I'm going to click the side here and make it larger. Okay, the dimensions held pretty well, so I'm in pretty good shape. Next I'm going to include a little image, or a little cartoon character. I already found this picture, this blueberry image guy, and I spent a very long time in making it into a PNG and taking off the stock photo image stuff. You might have to do that, and it might take you a very long time. But if you do it right, it'll look good. And make sure you save it as a PNG so you don't have to redo it over. So here's my little guy. As you can see, there are no stock images. Well, right there's a little bit. But for the most part, you can't really tell that it was a stock image at one point. I got rid of the background, and I used the clone stamp tool, and I meshed the colors together to make it look pretty good. So I'm going to pull this forward, move him over, drag and drop, move him back up, and I'm going to use Control T and put him somewhere in the picture. So I'm going to do that around here. And I'm going to do a little layering so he goes over my H. As you can see, there are some spots that I missed when I erased. So what I can do is use the actual eraser tool, make it smaller, and I can just click this away. not too shabby. So now I'm going to emboss these guys. So right click, blending options. And I'm going to add a drop shadow just a little bit. And I'm going to say OK. Now I'm going to do the same to the layer, to the cereal bowl. I don't necessarily have to do it exactly the same way as the lettering, but I should add some to keep consistency. Alright, next, my slogan, I'm going to include that now. Make a new layer, text tool. My slogan was happiness in a bowl. I'm going to change the style of font. I'm going to stick with this MV bully. Alright, Control T, we're going to make it smaller. And then I want to adjust, it's called kerning. I want to adjust the kerning of the characters. So I'm going to go over to the sidebar to the character option. To press enter to make sure the transform is correct. And I'm going to move the image, or move the characters together. And there's actually options here too that makes it so you can adjust how like the subscript is, make it wanting the characters smaller or bigger, things like that. Please play around with them. They're pretty cool. And it might take you to figure out what goes with which, and that's fine. It's all about the trial and error. You may need to play around with how far apart each of the letters are and things like that. And that's all about the trial and error. Okay, I like this. So that's what I'm going to stick with. Alright, next I want to show you a gradient. I'm going to add this to my cereal box. You want to go over to your paint bucket tool and you're going to select gradient. You want to be on the one that has the color to the checkerboard, because that means it's going to flow into your picture. To change the color, you just go over to your color block. I'm going to change it to something that would match my image. So a bluish color. And now to apply this, we need to add a new layer. And I'm going to place it right above the background layer. And I'm going to click in this. I don't want it to go the whole way, so if you would click on it the whole way, this is what happens. Or if you want it to go the opposite way, you click and go up, and that's what happens. I don't want it to be the whole way on the cereal box, so I'm going to start in the middle, and I'm just going to go up. And then that way, it only highlights the top of it, which is what I want. So I'm going to let that go just like that. Okay, so now I have my cereal name, my slogan, my little character, my image. Now I need Now I need the cereal brand. So I'm going to create a new layer, and that's going to be another text layer. And my brand is called Macy Mills Company. Going to change this. Actually, I really like that. We're going to stick with that. And I'm going to change the color to a bright yellow. Maybe a little bit touch of gold. So this is from the Macy Mills Company. Now I want to add a box top image. So I'm going to go to File. I already have this for you. Open. We're going to go to Miscellaneous, Box Top Image, and I want a check mark. So I'm just going to open both of those right now. Click OK. So the box top image is already a PNG, so we're going to pull that forward. Using the Move tool, we're going to drag and drop. And I'm going to place this right up here in the corner. If you would like to look at an example of a cereal box as you're working, I highly suggest it. You can copy like the layout and the formatting and the structure, just as long as you don't copy the box word for word, image for image. This is your own creation. Going back to the check mark, I'm going to pull this check mark over because now we need to provide some sort of nutritional value to our cereal. Mine is going to be that it is 100% whole grain. Guaranteed. We need another text tool. New layer. If you want to label these layers to make it a little bit easier to follow, you more than welcome can. Okay, so 100% whole wheat, whole grain, sorry, wrong food, guaranteed. Make sure you spell your words correctly. Photoshop does not have spell check. So if you are somebody that needs to look out in Google first or something like that, go for it. Do not worry about feeling like you shouldn't. Alright, lastly we need the weight of the cereal box, which that is a general net weight of 8.9 ounces, 252 grams. So please make sure you include that. So we're going to make a new layer again, another text tool. So net weight 8.9 ounces, 252 grams. This needs to go up here so we can see it. We're going to make it black, and we are going to make it much smaller and much more condensed. Alright, and then I'm going to add a little bit of emboss to the box top and the check mark just to keep things consistent. Again, you don't have to use a lot, but adding some will keep consistency. And that's what we want. And you can add it, you should probably add it to the text as well. Just a little bit. Get a little bit of depth. And there we have it, folks. The Site Bros cereal box. When you are done with your own cereal box, you're going to go to File, Save As. We're going to go to our Finished Projects folder. And you are going to save it under Cereal Box as your name, as a JPEG. There we have it. If you have any questions, let me know. Off you go.